You're listening to Two Chunks and a Hunk. Movie musings for mostly everyone. Welcome to Two Chunks and a Hunk. My name is Jordan Wonders, and this week I'm your chunk.
I'm Doge, and my favorite thing about the chunk is that it feels like a chunk. It feels real, go to the theater film chunk. That the kind of the reason why you go to watch something on the big screen. And I think
it's not a movie quote, but I'll allow it.
It's a quote about "Don't worry, darling."
Don't know what that is.
about nothing.
I'm Carter, and I've been waiting for someone like you. Someone to challenge me, like a good hunk.
Okay. Why are you the hunk?
I'm the hunk because now it's my turn to cross the sea.
Yay!
And have vacation.
Yay!
Cancun. With some friends celebrating their 30th birthdays.
Wow. I was actually just there. You should probably ask about me.
I've never all-inclusive before. I've never been at an all-inclusive resort.
Have you ever been to one where nothing's included, like a place where you have to pay for everything?
Oh, that's normally what we do.
It's like that, but instead you don't have to.
I can't really wrap my head around that. Yeah. I feel like there's a catch in my mind.
I had never done an all-inclusive before the cruise that we just got. I had never done an all-inclusive before the cruise that we just got back from. And last night at about 12:30 p.m., I was like, wait, where's my pizza? Why don't I get my pizza I've been getting?
Did they have like the free pizza bar or whatever?
Oh, yeah.
For sure.
Yeah, dude. That was one of my favorite things about the cruise I went on.
It's tough to come back to reality after an all-inclusive situation where you're like, well, I got to pay for it? I didn't have to last time.
No one has tapped me on the shoulder asking what drink I would like.
Man, that's so excited. How long are you there?
3 nights. In and out.
Oh, it's at In and Out.
Yeah.
That's interesting.
All-inclusive In and Out resort.
Wow. Prices are so reasonable. I get that.
Wow.
Owned by
their potatoes are fresh,
Jimmy
never
Buffett.
frozen.
He's got In and Out now. Margaritaville, In and Out. Not Jimmy Buffett.
Yeah.
Did
you think Warren
Jimmy
Buffett
owns In-N-Out? Are we doing a bit right now?
No. That's
he's like, wasting away again and In and Out.
With my animal soul.
I was having to reconcile in my brain how Jimmy Buffett got a hold of In-N-Out. I was really struggling.
That's how he gets a hold of all of us, dude.
Yeah.
One's hit single.
Songs that speak to our soul.
Yeah.
Anywho, I guess we should jump in.
This has been a good episode so far.
To our discussion. I'm a little worried about it personally, but jump into our discussion about the new smash hit blockbuster brought to us from the mind of Olivia Wilde, and it is, of course, known as Don't Worry, Darling. Synopsify me so we can talk about this.
This week's IMDb synopsis has no author. So it sprung fully formed from the head of Zeus, as did Athena, ready to dispense wisdom to mortals. A 1950s housewife living with her husband in a utopian experimental community begins to worry that his glamorous company could be hiding disturbing secrets.
Woo! Here's the thing. I think that actual discussion of this movie outside of places like this where people are wanting to try and talk about it, I think a lot of it, whether it's online or whatever, is going to be hindered by, I think there's 2 really loud camps about this movie that are both skewing opinion and rating a little bit too far in the wrong directions.
Okay.
So I think you have diehard Harry Styles fans who are going to say that this is incredible. I sat in front of a group of them last night. They giggled virtually every time he was on screen. and not like a haha, he's so funny giggle, but like a
Not like a haha, it's so funny. How bad he is at acting.
no, more like a oh my God, it's Harry Styles kind of a giggle, as though he were in the theater. And I think that discussion is going to skew things a little more positive than it actually is. And then I think there's people that are so caught up in the drama of the movie that they can't set that aside to give it any credit whatsoever. And I think those people will skew it more negative than it actually is.
Drama of the making of the movie.
Right, correct.
Yeah,
correct.
yeah.
Yes, the behind the scenes drama. And I think that everybody
Which is,
involved,
to be fair, about the juiciest thing to happen in pop culture in a pretty long time.
No. It's
an
for
absolute
sure
blast.
casting a long shadow, without a doubt. I just think that much like any movie, this movie deserves consideration for what it did, what it didn't do, what it was good at, what it was bad. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
there's more here than just what happened behind the scenes. And I think it will do some people too many favors and some people too great of a disservice to talk about it any less than what it does as a film.
Sure.
And that's why we're here, because I really want to talk about the merits of this movie. Now, it's impossible to not get caught up in some of the drama. It is very interesting.
It's juicy. It's so juicy. It has the juice.
It's
Spit
juicy.
Jason.
Doge, I've been meaning to talk to you about your references to the Korn song, man. We've all been talking about it.
Yeah. Here's the thing. I was an early adopter because I did mention it a couple of weeks ago and you guys had no idea what it was. And I rode that wave straight to shore, which we've all have been or will be at the beach within the next month or so. So we know what that means, but rode it straight to shore.
Just as a concerned co-host.
Yeah. Oh, I'm done. That's it. I'm not talking about it anymore.
Okay, thank God.
Yeah, you don't have to worry, darling.
You know how I am. You know how I am with those viral songs about something that's like kind of funny and then it just beats it into the ground for the next 3 weeks.
Because we would never do that.
I've
with
never
something.
beat a joke to death before.
No, absolutely not.
I just can't kill it.
Do we want to talk a little bit about the behind the scenes juice?
I mean,
what can there be said? What can we say that hasn't already been said? Right?
yeah, if you
Harry
don't know
didn't
about
spit on Chris Pine.
Harry did not spit. His sunglasses were in his lap. Chris
Olivia
did.
Wilde should have maybe tried even harder with Shia, even though Shia is also a bad person. Like
Shia's difficult to work with, but coming out and saying that he was fired because of her no assholes policy, and then him being like, actually, I left and
I
you
quit
begged
your
me to
movie."
stay.
Yeah.
You begged me to stay all while throwing Florence Pugh under the bus. That's a bad look for Olivia
what
Wilde.
a weird lie to tell in the information age.
Well, the thing for me, the frustrating thing about the movie for me is that Olivia kept talking about how it's a feminist anthem, how like there's no male pleasure in the movie, there's female pleasure in the movie. Like this is a movie for the girls. And then all of the marketing focused on the sex scenes between Harry and Florence.
Well, let's even zoom out further than that. No, hey, Olivia, no, it's
hey, no,
not.
it's not. Hey, no, it's not. And I think
Because a woman receives sexual pleasure doesn't mean it's a feminist movie. In fact, I would argue that several of my biggest problems with this movie, well, we'll get to that, but the plot is utter nonsense.
yeah.
And a lot of the problems are because all of your themes clash with the actual story.
I have very little positive to say about this movie, so I'm going to super pump right now.
Okay.
And it is...
Do you want to wait? Because I think we're all going to have the exact same super pump.
Yeah, we could do that. Or we could super pump right now and then just join the downward spiral and we can begin to worry, darling.
I have a handful of positive things to say about this movie.
Tell me. Tell me, what are they?
I think that, well, this is a weird energy to start our movie discussion with.
You think something's good? Prove it.
I imagine you were going to say that your super pump was Florence Pugh. Is that right?
It is, yeah.
Yeah, that's
Florence Pugh is my super pump.
That's my super pump as well. She's the best. She's far and away, I think, the most redeeming thing about this movie.
I would say she is the redeeming thing about this movie.
If you are insisting on watching this, I say watch it for her and almost nothing else. Except yeah, let's talk about Florence for a minute.
Yeah, here's the thing about Florence, though, is that I think this performance from Florence,
one of the weakest of her career,
is the worst I've seen from her.
Yeah, but the script, it's because...
That's what I'm saying. Like even Florence, bringing her Florence A game could not elevate a C-, could not drag an A+ performance out of a C- script.
That's generous on the script, if I'm being real with you.
And man, like she was great. I think the movie worked when it was only her on screen. John Powell's score in this is excellent. Like the movie worked really well when it was just Florence and just John Powell's score. And anytime any other character or dialogue or plot point was on the screen, it began to unravel for me. Carter, you're shaking your head. How are you feeling about this?
I also don't fully agree with you here.
Yeah, I disagree with a lot of what I've heard.
Okay.
Already. I think here's the thing, and a lot of it was I'm also personally in the process of going through counseling where one of the biggest themes was like listening to my body, aka knowing how I feel about things. Like what are my emotions?
Sure.
And I'm not saying y'all are, I think y'all are too healthy and wise to have other people, what other people say about this movie influence how you feel about this movie. Here's what hurt about this movie for me. Is that it is chock full of, if I was just to organically say who are my top 3-4 favorite people in Hollywood right now, who am I most excited about? Names like even Gemma Chan.
Yeah.
You know that I love Gemma Chan, but having Florence Pugh here, I'm always down. I grew up listening to Dean Martin. I'm always down for a music business person taking a shot at Hollywood.
Yeah.
I think we don't get to, here's what's tough about Harry Styles. Is Harry Styles has to come and act with, I think acting is only getting better, right? Even watching Casablanca, it feels stiff in a lot of ways. But like Dino is just out there with Frank Sinatra. He's out there with other people that are musicians that are trying to act. This is not the best from Harry, but it's also not awful. I think too, we've also had things where I think some people think it's like Gigli-esque on how bad this movie is. I would completely disagree with that.
No.
But to see names like, Harry Styles, Florence Pugh, I love Chris Pine, I love Gemma Chan, I really like Olivia Wilde. So to see this whole crew come together and a director who we are in the camp of go for it, go get your Jordan Peele's, go get your, everybody that's just directing after they had a different career and doing really well with that. I love it. Booksmart is a good movie. I think
Booksmart's a great movie.
I think it's a little bit overhyped, but it's a great movie. And so to have Olivia Wilde take a shot at this, I also was like, yeah, let's do it. Let's see it. But yeah, in the end, for me, it's hurt. The outside influence that it's hurt by is not the media junket, it's the genre.
Yes.
I think there's already too many things that look really similar to this. I think it was more creative than I thought it would be in some aspects. But yeah, I don't think it's absolute doo-doo garbage. I enjoyed it. I enjoyed the experience. I do think Florence Pugh was one of the best parts of this. My super pump is, get ready. My super pump is Olivia Wilde.
Which part?
Ooh. Interesting.
I really like Bunny. I really liked the character that she played. I think the writing for it wasn't good, but if we're talking about like performances, and again, me super pumping Olivia Wilde is also probably a testament to how good this movie was in the first place, because it's also not something that's just going to knock your socks off. She might have had, I don't know what she was going through outside of the movie business. She could be a jerk. I think Hollywood's full of jerks, and this seems to be a little bit more kosher than other jerks. I think it's not like the case of a Weinstein film or someone like Armie Hammer. She's not eating people.
No, she's just an unkind person.
She's just an unkind person.
Yeah.
But to me, I think there was more risk involved in making this movie than people give credit. It's a massive leap.
Yeah.
And so it's not a very well-prepared leap. I think people point to how much time she had extra that she could have gone in and watched it again and have more people watch it and be like, wait, let's clean this up a little bit more. But I think kudos to try. It's unfortunate that you took so many wonderful, precious materials on this ship and you might have set them back a little bit. Some of these people Florence Pugh is too good to have this hurt her career or anything. It's probably not best for Harry. He's got other movies coming out right now.
Dude, I do think this hurts Olivia's career.
For sure. I do think it hurts her. Yeah. And so if anything, this could be something that I look at tomorrow morning and say like, you know what, I was just trying to rescue somebody.
That's the most Carter super pump of like,
I'm having a really hard time with the last 5 minutes of our podcast, if I'm being honest, because number one, I'm afraid that I have accidentally let words be put in my mouth. I don't agree with either of you, which is good. That means this is going to be a good discussion, but I want to make sure that so I think Olivia Wilde was the second worst performance of this movie. I thought that she was remarkably wooden, and it felt like hubris that she put herself in the movie and delivered the second most underwhelming performance of the movie.
The only person that was worse than her is not an actor.
Yes, the only person worse than her is Harry Styles, who I don't blame.
Agree with that.
Who I do not blame at all for any of this. He was allowed to be in over his head because he's hot and is sharing a bed with the director.
He's Wii Sportsing the director.
So I'm not mad at Harry here at all, but he was not terrible. I've seen worse performances. He was not like, I've seen people throw around like Hallmark or Netflix movie quality. That is not what this was. He's not this. This is not what
he's not meant
does.
To be a co-lead. I don't think.
No way.
He's great for a Dunkirk.
He and Olivia Wilde both had far too much screen time. You
saw that Olivia
were the deliverers of the exposition dump at the end, which was
Olivia
horrific.
wanted to cast herself in the lead. You saw that, right?
Yeah.
And she saw Midsummer.
Then she saw Midsummer.
Olivia is not that good of an actor. She is not Oscar actor. She is not.
And I didn't say that.
No.
I think on the acting, acting side,
from her perspective, she should not have been the lead in this. Is what I'm saying.
On the acting side, for me, she doesn't live up to it. And then on the like behind the scenes, like directing side, I think she doesn't live up to it as well. I think she really thought she had something. It feels like this movie confidently said, y'all remember Get Out? This is that, but for girls. And then it was just like a mostly fine episode of Black Mirror, not one of the ones that people would be like, you have to watch this.
This is if The Truman Show, The Stepford Wives, and Severance had a baby that came out worse than all three of them.
Exactly. That's the thing I told Jess.
This movie was written by actual writers for the actual Sci-Fi Channel that write like Croctopus and stuff like that. They wrote this. The bidding war, I read this last night because I was curious. The bidding war for this movie was not a bidding war because the script was good. Every bid included rewrites. So the bidding war was good core idea, which I agree with.
Yeah.
Good core idea.
Needs a lot of work.
Yes.
Yeah.
This version is the closest to what they wrote of any of them.
Yeah.
Which is why. So, the story here is the kernel, the nugget of the story is really interesting, really good, really strong. The story we are given is dookie nonsense. It's just a mess is really what it boils down to.
Complete
It
mess.
is definitely a mess. Yeah. There were a lot of questions after the fact of like, what does the plane have to do with anything?
Yes.
There's some blatant.
Alice is dead. She is strapped to a bed next to a dead Harry Styles when she comes out of this.
Yeah.
VR.
What does she do?
She's dead.
She can't move.
She cannot get out of this bed. Why does Gemma Chan say it's my turn now? What does that mean?
Why did Frank create this simulation where if you die in this, you die in real life? What?
Hey, why did you make that? Die in real life, then why would Nick Kroll throw himself in front of a car? Hey, the doctor's driving in open desert. He could turn one of any of the 360 degrees. Why did he go head on?
Nobody goes on the x-axis.
Yeah, it's like Charlize Theron running straight ahead in Prometheus.
Yes.
It's just 100%. The thing about this, I don't know. That's what I was telling Jess when we drove away from the theater last night is like, if this had simply been a bad movie or even a not great movie, I think I would be less frustrated. But I'm really frustrated by a movie that confidently wastes my time.
Yeah, for sure.
By a movie that confidently says, I've got something special. You're going to see me on stage at the Oscars. And then this movie, Don't Worry, Darling, shows up and does every single thing worse than the movies that it's taking those ideas from.
Yeah. For sure. If I could, it doesn't feel like a legitimate super dump because I don't think we've ever done it. I would super dump the trailer.
Interesting.
Because that gave us everything that was a little visually interesting in the trailer. There was nothing else that I saw in the movie that I hadn't already seen in the trailer multiple times.
Yeah.
And then B, that was the thing, just the overall vibe. And I don't know, that is clearly Olivia Wilde's fault.
Yeah.
Is how the movie was presented, the hype around it. But I think even if we didn't get the media junket or people talking about it, simply looking at the cast and director would have created 80% of that.
Absolutely.
Hype, in my
for
opinion.
sure.
Because
Absolutely.
it's Olivia Wilde directing her boyfriend, Harry Styles, Chris Pine, Florence Pugh, Gemma Chan, Nick Kroll, right? It's like we're just putting together a cast that makes this interesting, and it feels like you've really blown it. Like, man, what could have been? Is that what makes us mostly frustrated? Is that what makes y'all mostly frustrated?
It's not so much
what have been.
It's not so much what could have been. It's what they insisted that they had.
Still,
That frustrates me.
Still insist.
They still
How was
insist
that?
they have.
How was that insistence communicated to you? Where did you see it? That's what I'm trying to pin down.
Yeah, I think it was
'Cause
there.
I felt it too.
It's the trailers. It's the media junket. It's the time of year that this releases. It's just the
Yeah, it's
general
Oscar season.
the general fanfare around it. Like they really. Well, I don't know. I mean, it really seems like Florence is trying to distance herself from this.
Yeah, big time. And Chris Pine has been like
and
radio
Chris
silent
Pine,
on this movie.
yeah.
The two best performances in the movie.
I thought and that's saying something because Chris Pine was pretty remarkably flat for me.
Well, yeah, I'll talk about the script in just a minute.
Chris Pine was just B. Robert California with an open shirt.
Anybody who is good in this movie is fighting for their absolute life against.
Yes.
We'll talk about the script for sure. But
I think what I loved, and I'm so the super pump I have for Olivia Wilde as Bunny. What I love about that, it's more of Bunny than anything, is I do think while she was stiff, I think my favorite, I was looking for Booksmart, and it felt like some of the scenes that she had in pieces of that humor of like just the conversations about like that creepy kid makes the best cocktail, like things like that. That the only time I ever smiled in the movie was a line delivered by Bunny.
That's true.
yeah,
And
she
so
was actually funny. I agree.
Yeah, it was like she was really the only thing that I was looking forward to, but it's because she was giving me a taste of something that had nothing to do with Don't Worry, Darling. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So that's ultimately why I was like, I love that. And then honestly, when she's just telling Alice to kind of calm the hell down in the women's room, I thought that was legitimately gripping in a way to me. And her just the way that she was performing in there. So I didn't necessarily rank them on how I felt like how good they were. Florence definitely felt far and away the best, but
Let's keep this train going for a second. I want to talk about some other good elements of this movie from at least my perspective. I thought the soundtrack was really, really excellent. Like
John Powell, perhaps best known for How to Train Your Dragon.
yeah.
This is really good. This is a great soundtrack from John Powell.
Really interesting.
yeah,
It
I love
ramped
having
up
so
tension.
many, so many moments where I was like, there's not a single instrument besides a voice right now.
Yeah.
It's really cool.
I thought the costumes specifically, any movie where Florence Pugh gets to wear 50 different dresses, I'm down. Like
The
she looks
costume
so
and set
cool.
design. Yeah, this was shot in, where is it in California? But it's like a whole little
Springs.
Yeah, a little mid-century town, basically. Like a lot of this was not a set that they had to construct. All the mid-century
like it.
stuff.
I like that
Set
look.
design, costume design was fantastic.
Yeah, I thought this movie, I told when we left the theater, Callie said first impression, I said, really, really pretty mess.
Yeah.
It was, I enjoyed looking at it. I thought the first, let's call it hour 35, were vague and nonsensical enough to leave me wondering. I mean, I called the twist from like the first 10 minutes.
Oh, yeah.
But it was vague enough to where I was like, how are we going to get there? I didn't have the VR part called. I knew it was going to be modern day outside of this world, but I didn't know. I didn't know if they knew that or not. Like,
I mean, anyone who's played Assassin's Creed knows where this is concerned.
but I just,
They keep desynchronizing themselves, man.
if you can watch the first hour 35 of this and then just stop it and go, I wonder how it ends and be satisfied, then it's an okay way to spend an hour 35 if you just like looking at Florence Pugh and Harry Styles.
For me, you've got to bail before the dinner party. The dinner party is when it absolutely completely
At
fell apart
Alice
for
and
me.
Jack's house?
At Alice and Jack's house.
Gotcha.
Whenever our protagonist and our antagonist sit across from the table yelling at each other, and the rest of our cast just kind of listens. They don't really do anything. And like this information should be shocking. And they just kind of sit and listen. That was so frustrating to me. The dialogue was really, really rough in this movie. And like, man, that just, I've been waiting for someone like you, someone to challenge me. What? What is that?
Men, only men. If men die here, they die for real. Okay.
What? Yeah. What is that?
How would you feel if I shared your medical records with somebody else? I wouldn't care. Okay, then I'll share them with you immediately.
Yeah. I mean, it's.
I have a briefcase with the most important thing I've ever had in it in the world, and I accidentally left it by the woman that's trying to see it. Oops. Like,
and she'll guess the combination. Don't worry.
This whole thing.
It was on zeros. He didn't re-combo it. I think we have to be careful here.
To be nice.
Like, be nice.
Well, no,
they tried.
They're in. No. Y'all are so fun. Fun is a family podcast word for you. Every genre, Jordan, there's so many things in Mission Impossible that but it's because it's a good movie, right? That we get to be like, okay.
No,
but
I don't know that
I think
it's because it's a good movie. I think it's because it never pretends to be this like heady, intellectual, like,
no.
I'm talking,
lessons. Okay. When someone leaves, like, that feels nitpicky, like the suitcase thing, like someone just happens to leave it there, feels like that's every horror movie, like there's always like, oh, now? Oh, okay.
Sure.
Well, you just so happen to, right, because we've written 2 hours of this entire story and we're going to put in the things that could be interesting.
So why doesn't it bug me in those, but it bugs me here?
Because if you go to Chuck E. Cheese and the band plays a rock and roll version of Happy Birthday, that's what you expect.
Yeah.
But if you go to see Jacob Collier and he plays an animatronic Chuck E. Cheese version of Happy Birthday, you'd be like, why are you doing this?
Yeah. I don't know. He probably would pull it off.
He would probably pull it off.
It'd be pretty good. He'd make the whole audience sing all the harmonies.
The promise that Don't Worry Darling made is come have your brain blown Nolan style. Come get Jordan Peeled in this theater this summer. You're going to
Inception was one of the influences.
You're going to experience something here. And then you come in and it's like, when men die, they die for real. But only the men, and a man designed it, so that seems like a design flaw. But we're not going to address it. Like, I don't know. The script is my super dump. It is genuinely. I'm not being facetious. I'm not being hyperbolic. Some of the flattest dialogue I have heard in a movie this caliber. And I think that's what makes it so offensive, right? Is like,
right. Because if this dialogue had been like, if this came out,
a DCOM, it'd be one of the best DCOMs of all time.
If this came out on the Sci-Fi Channel, none of these actors in it, we'd be like, have you seen Don't Worry, Darling on the Sci-Fi Channel?
Here. Yeah.
What the heck, Sci-Fi? Where did this come from?
But we would be looking at that movie going, I hope that person gets a chance to do something else good.
Something real.
Yeah. This is real. There is no excuse here. That's my biggest issue with this film. There's no excuse. You had an incredible cast. Nick Kroll does nothing.
Why is Nick Kroll in this movie?
He's so good. Nick Kroll is so good. Why cast him if you're going to waste him?
I mean, I feel the same way about Gemma Chan. Gemma Chan does nothing in this movie.
Even Chris Pine barely does anything.
Yeah.
Yep.
That's my thing, though. This all feels like a big hubris thing because Olivia Wilde let her and her boyfriend deliver all the expository dialogue in the 10-minute info dump. By the way, Harry dying before we understand the risks of a man dying sucks.
Yeah.
She smashes his head, and my first thought was like, he'll just log back in. And then she's like, no, he's dead.
No, he's actually dead. And we go, oh.
Tell us before so we can be nervous. I don't know. I feel like if the whole movie, like, what if we got a scene at the dinner party, the big dinner party, where like a man started choking on steak or something, and every dude in the room freaked out and was like, Heimlich putting their fingers in, trying to pull it, like really, really over the top to save him. And everybody's like, that was weird. Or like, what if all their cars only capped out at 20 miles an hour to make sure they were super safe? Like, there's so many interesting, unique concepts in here that are completely wasted by an amateur script. And I think 5 out of 10 directing.
Yeah, the surrogate for your super dump to me is my super dump. And it is the first time we really get to know Frank, and it's his monologue at their house, Chris Pine's character. What a waste of a shot, right?
What a nothing.
Here's the thing, though. I think of all the characters, if we could have written one of them way better than everybody else, and Frank changes my rating.
Has to be Frank.
Like if Frank ends up being a legitimate antagonist, which you know how much I love villains.
Sure.
And there's really not one. There's really not one.
Yeah.
Because Frank proves to have zero power at all. And if you're going to give Gemma Chan's character the agency to make that move at the end, give it then.
Give her no idea more than 3 scenes before that.
I have no idea where it came from. So to not understand a single thing and even try and look back. And there's this way that we can have connections like in Nope and be like, oh, that's why we saw from the set of that show so much. It's all about organic. It's about it's a creature feature. Oh my God. I thought it was a UFO feature. That's a thing. Like to go back and still have no idea what Frank said at the pool about progress and chaos. It felt like such a waste of time.
What
and
a strange thing.
It was a one-shot kind of thing to where it was like so many of these attempts of like, I love all the things from set when it's like we never showed them the monster on the set until the first time they ever see them.
Right.
It almost felt like Chris Pine had this opportunity and they were like, you know what, you organically just say what you want to say. But he had nothing to work with.
No.
It was so bad and it kept repeating itself and trying really hard to give you like some kind of memorable, even like The Great Gatsby. With DiCaprio, which was not good. Still had the cup raise. And all the fanfare behind it. Like it felt like we tried to do this a million times this movie and couldn't. And I knew that we weren't going to get anywhere the moment that Frank delivers that monologue.
The idea of Chris Pine as a charismatic, misogynistic, like
incel
cult,
red pill podcast host.
Oh my gosh, that is so good.
It's a very
that
interesting.
is such a great idea.
I want him to have another shot at a villain because I do think that's what makes you upset is you just keep getting teased until you're numb to it because there is no delivery.
But if we're gonna make this a movie about how the misogynistic incel red pill like pickup artist whatever, like if we're gonna make this a movie about how damaging that is and that taken to the extreme it is super duper harmful, let me see some of that in the simulation. Am I expected? Because it seems like, oops, Olivia, oops. Seems like maybe the message that you've given is if these women would just listen to the Harry Styleses of the world, then their life would actually be pretty good.
Because none of the men are at all cruel to the women
inside the simulation.
Inside the simulation.
Right.
Exactly.
So it seems like it's like, see, now that I've got you here, don't you see how great this is? And it seems like the only thing bad they did was kidnap them. Other than that, it's like, no, their ideas were right. They just kidnapped them to get them here. And it just
they also,
ridiculous.
I think specifically there was a lot is giving it too much. But like the fact that Alice's actual job was a surgeon and he was like, so there were some relatable things to me contextually in my own relationship in terms of the fear of assuming how someone you love feels and acting off of that.
Sure.
So the whole like, you told me you worked so much. I thought I was saving you. Let's not have to work anymore and just live like this. When ultimately it was 90-10. It was 90% what he wanted to do. The James Bond poster, give me a British accent and the Jaguar. And then 10% I'm kind of forcing you to come along because ultimately what's better for us is if I'm in complete control of our world, right? So that's what I got from this. And so I do... with that kind of theme that Olivia or this script was trying to do, I did appreciate that element in terms of the like, just an assumption because I was born with a penis that like I know better.
Sure.
And the best thing is to, yes, of course you had independence and were doing something that you loved, but you told me it was exhausting. And that's all I understand is that it was exhausting. Like so much of what I want is clouded by what you have expressed that you love.
It's just really mixed messaging. I don't think it was clear in its messaging at all. I think
I have never said I thought it was clear.
I'm not fighting you.
Oh,
I'm agreeing.
I feel like every time I've shared something, okay, it hasn't felt like that.
I've been agreeing with you for almost all of this podcast.
Oh, great.
Go back and listen.
That's awesome.
We're on the same page. No, I think that this movie was incredibly murky in its messaging, and the message that it wanted to give is so important to be clear on that it's a complete whiff. I think that Olivia probably thinks that this movie is the feminist anthem that she wants it to be, but I actually think that it is not that.
Here's the thing. The optimist in me thinks that she knows that it's not at this point.
She's just doubling down like, because of marketing.
Lazy, too late.
Sure.
My hope is that this is just a phase for Olivia because you're right. I think it hurts her the most. Chris Pine is fine. Jackie Chan is fine. She didn't even get enough. We wasted her completely because she's phenomenal.
She's a complete waste here.
She had maybe 15 total minutes in Crazy Rich Asians and was one of my favorite things about that entire movie, which we talk about like Gemma Chan can certainly hold her own in a
she carried the
beautifully shot, fanfare, frenetic kind of movie.
Yeah.
And we didn't even give her a chance here. Florence is totally fine. Florence will have
this
three
is
Oscars
actually probably
before 2035.
better for Florence because she gets to be the best part of a bad movie and then immediately distance herself from it.
And also, she had, I wonder if this is what made her decide to break up with Zach. She just has had this whole thing of like, I'm strong enough. She's always been strong-willed, but just to be like, this movie was bad. I'm not afraid to say it. This relationship, I don't want anymore. You know, it's like, it felt like she's just come in and blown the doors down.
Dude, she has become
I'm excited
one of
for
my
whatever's
favorite
next for her.
people in Hollywood.
Isn't her next thing Dune 2?
That's right.
I don't think she has anything between this and Dune 2. Like that's why she was.
He opened up his sweet, sweet arms and said, "Oh, she's also in Oppenheimer."
Oh yeah, that's right. Yep.
Yeah, she
can be all right. She can be all right.
She's gonna be fine. I can guarantee
Well, and the Thunderbolts. Yeah, so she's fine.
Guarantee that Olivia Wilde will never get another $20 million budget.
It won't be her next one. I think she could earn her way back.
I would be completely shocked.
Yeah.
Well, you know, it's actually way past time for shout announcements, but let's head over to shout announcements. And then I'd love to come back with maybe we can list out some unanswered questions that we're confused by, if you can think of any.
Yeah, I don't know. It's pretty airtight.
That's like listing out all the cool things about an action movie that we love.
We're going to reverse Farley.
And then...
Welcome to Shout Announcements, part of the show where we give shout outs and make announcements.
It's the part of the show that really feels like a podcast, you know, like a real like podcast. This is why you go to your app to listen to the podcast.
We could have been.
Do y'all think this movie is going to hurt Harry's music career?
No,
not at all.
But acting, yeah,
not at all.
Oh, he'll be fine.
He'll be all right. First thing I want to make sure that you are aware of is starting next week.
Guys, I'm so excited.
It's Chunktober time, baby.
Oh my God.
Maybe my favorite time of the year.
Tell them what we're doing, Dosh.
It's Chunktober 3, and it is creature features. It's monsters, goblins, ghouls, and probably some other stuff. A fly, for sure, at least.
Definitely a fly. We know that.
But next week, we're starting with The Descent. And we really, really want you to watch it with us and get scared. And crawl.
Don't watch it by yourself.
Crawl under those covers. Hide from all the spooky things in the movie. And then we'll shine a flashlight on them in our episode and tell you why you shouldn't actually be scared of them.
If you are easily startled, find a watching buddy for this movie.
Yeah. For any of them, I would
watch it with your safety safe.
Yeah.
I don't. Do y'all get to watch Chunktober with your wives or no?
Yeah.
I don't.
Oh, no.
I'm by myself.
Oh, no.
Do you want to watch with my wife? She'll just come over and just watch the movie and then head out.
Just me in the space between my fingers.
Great. Love it.
That's just how you want to watch The Descent in confined, closed spaces.
I know this is not for podcasting, but I'm just usually like this.
No.
Carter's like, no, I need to though. I'm on a movie podcast. I have to.
I felt so bad for you last year when we did Hill House. And you kept getting spooked by the bent neck lady.
Oh, I forgot I wrote a song to her.
You did.
Oh yeah, so that I could get through it.
Yep.
I miss Hill House.
New Mike Flanagan show drops this fall.
Thank goodness.
Yep.
It's not Usher. It's not House of Usher, is it? It's the Midnight Society or whatever.
Oh!
The fall of the House of Ursha, baby.
We're going nowhere fast.
That used to be my alarm, and now that song is ruined.
Climax.
Yeah. Speaking of Climax, we need to get more reviews. There's nothing that makes us feel better than getting reviews. Go to Spotify. Go to Spotify if you would, and please rate us however you would like. I just need us to get it. Let's just get in the triple digits.
Yeah.
Like just get us up there.
That's what we want.
That's
Diners,
super
drive-ins,
helpful.
and digits.
What ratings and reviews do is they help that algorithm that gets us into the ears of those around the world that have not heard of us, AKA being very successful in India currently, and just most of Asia. Two Chunks has made the top ranks.
Once we make it all the way around the world, we get to stop.
Yeah.
Once we get a top in every country, we get to stop.
If you can help us, it's our special 80-day. We just get us around in 80 days. Go rate and review.
If you want us
tell
to
your
stop
friends.
making this podcast, go rate and review right now so we can be done sooner. Well, that's probably about it.
Yeah, I think so.
Back to the
Don't
show, I
forget
guess.
Patreon.
Oh, yeah, Patreon.
Oh, yeah,
Jump in on
Patreon.
Patreon.
No, they know
Look
it.
at Discord.
They know.
Come join us on Discord. Come get bonus episodes. There's a whole thing. You'll love it.
Dude, we said they know.
When Big Mobile charges you an arm and a leg, they're taking your money and your power. And your arm and leg. Boost Mobile gives your power back with an unlimited plan for $25 a month on one of America's largest 5G networks. We can't give you back your arm and your leg because we're not qualified surgeons. Unless you're an iguana who can grow limbs back. Switch to Boost and get an unlimited plan for $25 a month. Boost Mobile. Unleash your power. New customers only. One line, $25 per month with autopay. Additional restrictions apply. See boostmobile.com for details.
Hey, why did all the lights blow up in the cul-de-sac?
Because they did, dude. Because they did.
Hey, why was everything rumbling and exploding?
Because it was, dude.
Hey, did they work for Chris Pine in the outside world?
Who knows?
What was the
I
promotion?
don't know.
Who knows?
It just didn't hit any of the marks because I was trying to like piece together the data collection of all of the sci-fi movies I've seen. There's definitely been some that having a lot of questions benefits at the end to be like, wow, what did that mean? You're not supposed to know though, right?
Yeah.
Like you're not supposed, but in here it was like it is such a perfect little metaphor for what this movie does as a whole in terms of how it was produced and pitched, is that all of these tiny themes that had some kind of hype around them, that we win all this callback of like, oh, it's rumbling again. The things that we get within the first 5 minutes, the crushing of the eggs that have no yolk, all that kind of stuff. No payoff. There's a lot of things that we just don't know. And here's the thing. If you're listening and you're frustrated because you really loved the movie, we love that. Like we really do.
That's fine.
Like I'd love to talk about that. Come join the Discord. But it's like, I bet you can't discount all of the things that come up, right? Like that, it feels impossible. Like if we were to give you 10 things that we feel like was unanswered, maybe you give us 3, there's no way you get 10 for 10.
Yeah.
Because you can't, at that point, you're fabricating a story that didn't actually make the screen.
Yeah.
Like there was not effort. The guy, so the people who want to change their lives and live a better life, but they choose to drive a trolley for eternity. What is
I
that?
assumed
Was
he
he
was
a real
an
person?
NPC.
I think he's a program.
You think he's an NPC?
Yeah, I think-
So there's NPCs then?
I would assume every red suit person is an NPC.
Is a program. Is not a
That's
real
not
guy.
even clear.
I know.
No,
well,
it's
I'm
not
just
at all.
guessing. I'm not saying
Yeah.
like, didn't you
That's
missed
what the
something.
thing is. It's the wrong kind of
Yes.
guessing.
Yes. Yeah.
Well, to me, it's the same thing
We
as
ended
like,
Nope. Yeah. There was ending Nope. And here's spoilers for Nope if y'all haven't seen it. We didn't have to know where this creature came
Right,
from.
right.
Like we didn't have to know what the giant sails of its gorgeous, unfurled,
Gosh,
angry
what a
self
movie.
meant. Right? There was a lot of questions. We don't have to really know what ends up happening to our main leads. Like how did he survive?
Right.
Like how did all these things happen?
Right.
You don't have to know that because there was so much else that was totally
Yeah.
fine.
I think this is like the difference between something like a Signs, where you in the movie and you're like, was it aliens or was it demons? Why did they look like that? We barely saw. Like it's like well done
Aw.
mystery.
Yeah.
Versus something like, I don't know. I'm struggling to keep up with something that has this many. It feels like this movie thought it was doing the like mystery means confusion, and it's like no.
Yeah.
Mystery means answer we are searching for, but the way we get the answer is an exposition dump, and all the questions we had weren't even those questions.
I think I have the way I'm understanding this movie is a metaphor. It's a food metaphor.
Oh,
And it comes from my own
that's
life
interesting.
in the last month, in the last week. I had baked Alaska on our cruise, and it was good. It was fine, but it was cruise good.
right.
If I went to a restaurant that said, we're the best restaurant in Dallas, and they served me that exact same plate of baked Alaska, I'd never go back because
Right.
I would say, this is not actual good. This is boat good.
Yep.
And I think Don't Worry, Darling is so confident that it's actual land good. And in reality,
boat
it
good.
is cruise good. It's boat good. When it's like, that's fine
Yeah.
if you're on a boat, but I'm not on a boat.
Yeah. It's I'm getting into a season of grading research papers, like grad level research, and it feels like lazy, right? It just feels like a lazy research paper. And our source list was pretty impressive. It's all these things that you pulled from, and then, but this is what you give me. Like the whole point of writing a research paper isn't to say, look at this bookshelf.
Here's what
check
they
it
said.
out. It's like, hey, I looked at all the books and I put it together in a way that I think is
That's
unique
exactly
and new.
it. Because it doesn't say anything new. It is just, it's Inception, it's The Truman Show, it's Stepford Wives, it's Severance, it's Tron. It's like, you know what I mean?
And I think in terms of the massive library of movies that this could have been, but it's vague enough that there's really not like legitimate solidified influence that can be recognized, is like the worst thing that happened to Don't Worry Darling is one of M. Night Shyamalan's like middle ground movies.
Yeah.
Which is The Village. And The Village is interesting in that it's very similar in that it's this cultish mentality of like, this is the better way to live, leaning a little bit more on maybe cultures that currently do exist, like with the Amish and things like that, only to find out we escape to a highway and we see automobiles.
Yeah.
Now that's a twist. It's like, wow, that's crazy. But I couldn't help, like from the moment that this started, I was like, oh, this feels like The Village.
Oh, it's a twist. Yeah.
But that's okay. There's been plenty of movies that I've seen that felt like something. And then I was like, oh, wow. The whole point of Nope, again, and it's because it's recency bias, is it felt like Close Encounters. It felt like, oh, UFO movie. But then it completely flipped that.
Yeah.
It completely flipped that in a really creative way. Did it have some misses? Sure.
Yeah.
But there were enough makes. Like, yeah, Don't Worry, Darling should have been better. And I do recognize my super pump being Olivia Wilde. That is the main reason. She's the helm that made it bad. But I liked Bunny.
My super dump. Are we ready? I feel like I've been a little too positive. I need to just bring it down a little.
Really
like
bring
it's
us
not
down.
it's not perfect. I know I've been saying a lot of good stuff, but it definitely has flaws. The last 10 minutes of this movie is borderline unwatchable. I was watching the clock. I was watching my watch ever since the dinner scene. And I was like, oh my gosh, how much of this could possibly be left? And the last 10 minutes of this movie is when everything happens. Nothing happens at all until the last 10 minutes. And then everything happens. We get our exposition dump. We get Bunny saying, I actually know that this is fake. And Florence Pugh, like...
They take Florence Pugh to go like fix her, and then it is undone 4 minutes later. Yeah, it doesn't
right away.
anything.
It doesn't do anything. And then the silly things, like Florence Pugh says, oh, I've been driving my car up this spiral, up this hill, and now my car is stuck. So I'm going to keep running the spiral rather than climbing it. She only gets the idea to climb the hill after she sees the red suit programs climbing the hill.
How did she mess up? There's no debris in the
climb.
car. Like, how did she mess up the car?
I don't know. And she gets to the top and stops. Like, we're supposed to believe that Florence Pugh, up to this point, who has had no question about I have to get out of here, suddenly stops at the top and goes, wait, should I leave? No, of course. That's not earned. You don't have that at all.
No.
The last 10 minutes of this script is where it earnestly and truly falls apart. I think we get the speed wobbles a little bit in the dinner scene and we realize, oh, maybe this isn't going to stick the landing. And not only does it not stick the landing, it explodes before it even touches the ground.
Yeah.
It just absolutely, like I can't think of a 10 minutes of a movie that I like less than the last 10 minutes of this movie.
Heffalumps and woozles.
Yeah, that's pretty scary.
Winnie the Pooh used to scare me.
Yeah, that's a good point.
So very often she gets to have a bit of recall as to her life before.
Well, at one point she is literally
the
wearing
Victory
the
Project.
nightgown that she's laying in bed wearing inside the simulation.
Yeah.
My question is, it seems to be when there's some kind of pressing like of her face. And for a while I was like, is that because she acknowledged that in the past she could press it up against the tower and get reverted back to like waking up? But like the wrapping her face in saran wrap, the being underwater, there was something that I was looking for that was like, what kind of oppression is happening in real life to give her some kind of recall to start to leave this virtual reality?
I think it's just when
that wasn't really answered.
when she starts to die in the simulation, she starts to wake up on the bed because women can't die in the simulation. I really, like, I was pretty confident it was a simulation. I really thought that it was going to take the like misogyny mid-century thing and be basically the Matrix, where women were basically plugged in to be baby incubators in the real world because some sort of environmental thing had happened.
Yeah, I kind of thought it was going to... Well, my first thought with all the rumbles was oh, are they going to go with some sort of like weird, like cosmic horror? There is some being that lives under the earth that we're preparing for. Like, is it going to be culty?
Yeah.
Was my first thought.
Cabin in the
Yeah.
Woods.
And then
With a name like Victory, it has to be good. With a name like Victory, you'd think that they were trying to triumph over something. And maybe we're supposed to understand that victory is we're trying to triumph over feminism?
Yeah,
I don't know.
I don't know.
I'm not really clear about that.
Can you imagine applying for a job and you're like, what's y'all's mission statement? They're like, oh, we don't really have one.
Today, victory, tomorrow, the world. That's what the banners said. Today, victory, tomorrow,
really
the
don't.
world.
We're not totally sure. Like, okay, cool. What do you stand for? Like foundationally, like I can see that this company is trying to reach some kind of success.
it
Well, we
seems
don't
clear
like
to me
chaos.
That Frank,
I don't know.
that Frank's whole deal is, at least in real life, like red pill incel women are second class citizens and
Sure.
and they don't know what's best for them. So you need to take things into your own hands. But the inside company is this weird Severance style shadow corporation that is exploding something like
It's also
it exists
like,
for the twist solely. There's no story
Yeah.
reason
how,
for it to exist.
who is working with Alice's hospital in which she appears to have some very important role
Exactly.
to excuse her being gone for some 3 years now? Like, how do we get around that? And I don't know. We do love world building on this podcast. And sometimes in sci-fi, I don't know. It just never reached an actual tone in this movie that we got to say what it could be. I think mess is
Does
a good
Jack
word.
go work a full-time job, come home, make dinner, force feed Florence, drip water into her mouth, lay down, get into the simulation to hang out with her for 5 hours before he sleeps and then go, like, how is that worth it?
The
And
answer
then
is yes.
The
He
other
does that.
thing is,
Which is stupid.
the other thing is, and this is an interesting, we never go into this, but when Jack is signing up for this program, it mentions that he has a pre-existing relationship with the woman he's bringing in. So that implies that some men are like kidnapping women that don't know them to force them into the, like, we never dive into any of that.
Yep.
If we want this to be a feminist anthem, give women, besides Florence, a little more to do in this.
Something to do in this movie?
Yeah. If this is going to be a feminist movie.
No, but wait, but Jimma Cham stabs him. It says it's my turn now.
I don't
So-
understand that because that seems antithetical as well. But like, I don't know. I think I'm offended by several things in this movie. Like, just my sensibilities have been offended of like, do better. You had all the right ingredients.
Man, I just feel like my time was wasted.
Yeah, I a little bit feel like that. I don't know. This is going to be an interesting, there's going to be a lot of interesting discourse around this movie because I think there will be people who refuse to see any positive in it because of the drama, refuse to see any bad in it because of Harry, and then hopefully a lot more in between that can talk. And
Yeah, Florence gave her following a voice already in expressing it herself. So they're out, right?
that's what I'm saying. I think Florence fans will see it because Florence is amazing and then say, all right, well, I knew what I was getting into.
Yeah. Could be
It'll still get it'll get its set design and probably costume, like Oscar nods in terms of nominations. So it's still this will accomplish some of what it wanted to, but I think it expected maybe Best Picture.
For
not a
sure.
chance.
That's what feels
For
silly.
sure, that's what it
Yeah.
wanted.
It's acting and
Yeah. This will be that weird little blip on Florence's career, I think, where we look back and go, oh, yeah, she was in that one, wasn't she? What's the weird 50s one? Oh,
even then, it's not even necessarily a blip because of her effort.
Right.
I think
yeah.
sometimes, I guess there's lots of different blips.
I mean, it's like, are you going to get mad at Shaq for going and playing in like a middle school pickup tournament? No.
Tom Hardy for going to martial
Right.
arts.
Like,
right.
like, no. I mean, she can slum it. It's fine.
Yeah.
Anyway,
I mean, Homegirl got paid top billed
Yeah.
with this cast. So
dude, it's so funny that with a script, I do want to say, like, the script is one of the worst. Like, the actual script
it's a really bad
itself
script.
is terrible.
I hope that Olivia Wilde's career ends up being like John Mayer's.
Yeah.
There was a moment
Yeah.
of narcissism in his career to where he was just doing anything because he had acknowledged that he was John Mayer
Right.
and whatever.
I'm John Mayer,
measurable
so I
that
get
was
to
for
do
him.
this. Yeah.
And then he had a moment where he was like, crap.
That sucks.
Now
Because
he's
I
the
do
people's
believe
John Mayer.
still
yeah.
I do believe that Olivia Wilde is still talented.
I agree.
I think something happened here. May it be influenced by dating one of the most popular people in the world? I don't know. I don't know what it all is, but hopefully she has a moment where she comes back to, doesn't even have to be her roots. I mean, she's clearly wants to be creative in some way. So I
do
know.
want to be clear. If you hurt Jason Sudeikis, you hurt me. I do want to be very I want to make sure that I'm towing the line, the company line. Jason Sudeikis is a treasure.
Did she leave him? How did that even work out?
Yeah, she left him
for Harry.
I'd leave Jason Sudeikis for Harry, but
I wouldn't. I wouldn't, but I care about like
empathize.
personality and like kindness.
Nah, I'm
and-
well past that.
So then Jason
Just
Sudeikis.
give me that face.
But the thing is that after that, Sudeikis did go on to play a character whose wife left him and kept their kid. So I don't know why he would feel that way about anything, right?
Also, my guy is thriving. Nobody is worried
Jason's
about him
doing
right now.
fine. It is time to rate this movie using the scientific cinema scale, which is infinitely clearer than the plot of this one. And it's perfect and as follows.
I would say it really feels like a scale, like a real, like go to the theater kind of scale.
I'm not mad at Harry for being...
I'm not either. It's just, that's the funniest thing I've ever seen, to watch him say that and see Chris Pine fully disassociating next to him, wishing he was anywhere else on this big, beautiful planet.
Yeah, that was good.
And sitting next to Harry Styles saying that the new movie feels like a movie.
It's like a Tom Holland media junket without charm.
Yes.
Right.
Because he also had the same vibe around him. It was like, oh my God, shut up.
Yes.
kid.
Yes.
What are you talking about?
Yeah.
For sure.
Except, he doesn't know.
Little baby.
He's just a little boy.
The best thing we could ever say about a movie is own it, don't buy that poster. The next best thing is buy it. That's followed by rent it and then stream it. After that is forget it. And last but certainly least, the worst thing we could ever say about a movie. God hath forsaken us.
Forget it.
Oh.
I'll never watch this again. And I would be better off having never watched it. Even the best things about this movie are forgettable to me.
I likely will never watch it again either. I think, though, in modern cinema history, this does make the textbook somehow because of just how...
Extra textually, you mean like outside of the film itself? Yeah.
Yes.
Sure.
I think it makes it as like, what? Like what happened?
Yeah.
Can you imagine? Because it's really tough these days. Because usually if you're putting together an A-list cast, it is what we hoped Don't Worry Darling would be, or it's simply like an action movie with no brain and we don't care. How fun is it to see them all driving so fast? So in that sense, I would say if you want to be a part of the conversation, go see it. I would rent it. I think I think buy it means getting a ticket to go see the movie. So I'm telling you rent. I'm saying you can wait and pay $3.99. I think that would be fine if you do want to see it. It doesn't need to be seen in theaters. I know I'm going literal in that sense, but also I do feel like there are elements of it that are worth knowing about because it's going to be, whether it's good or not, talked about in some of these people's careers for a long time.
I think it makes the cinema textbook in a sentence that would be like, after the runaway success of Get Out, other films like Don't Worry Darling thought they could also do the same thing.
Hey,
sure.
Scoreboard, baby. That's numbers. Put it up.
Yeah.
It's a stream. It's an easy stream. It's an obvious stream to me. It is. This is not a bad. This is not a bad movie. It is an aggressively okay movie with a terrible ending. And the terrible ending is because it had nothing happening. But if you can get some enjoyment out of watching pretty people wear pretty costumes for an hour 35, if you like Florence Pugh even a little bit and want to know what started all this weirdness, yeah. I mean, it's worth a watch. I'll never watch it again. I have no interest. It is. Yeah. It does feel like a waste of time from a film perspective, from a cinema perspective.
And I'm a real Kino. Out of all three of us, I'm the real Kino here.
It feels like it's in the same aisle, in the same section of the menu as Jurassic World Dominion. It is this thing that is like hyped up massively and thinks that it's more than it is. But the great thing about Jurassic World Dominion is there's very likely dinosaurs. And how fun would that be?
Yeah, there was actually no dinosaurs in Don't Worry Darling. Not
See the
even a
dinosaurs.
single person got ate.
I do feel the need to say, really, I think one of the biggest turn-offs of this movie for me is how clearly this movie believes that it is so good.
Right. It's like a not fun karaoke where it's like, oh no.
I was like, do y'all remember Gangster Squad?
Yes.
You remember that
yes.
movie? It feels like
Yes,
that.
Yes,
It was
absolutely.
like,
100%.
oh man, what a bummer it could have been. But then it's the interesting thing is like, it didn't completely surprise us. There was enough going on that we were at least anticipating.
Oh, yeah. I was able to brace myself before we even hit play on this bad
Sean
girl.
Penn,
Yeah.
Ryan Gosling, Emma Stone,
Yeah, that right there.
Yeah.
That right there should have been
Josh Brolin,
amazing.
Gangster Squad. Nope.
Well, that's, thank goodness, the end of talking about.
Directed by the guy that did
Don't worry, darling.
Zombieland. Yeah, so it is funny. It kind of feels like
Yeah.
It really is.
Olivia Wilde.
It is to smart horror. It's the smart horror equivalent of what Gangster Squad thought it was.
I completely agree. It is the end of our Don't Worry, Darling discussion. Thank goodness. Next week, tune in as we begin Chunktober with The Descent. Watch it with your buddy. Watch it with your buddy. Very pumped about that one.
I'm so excited about Chunktober.
Yeah, I can't wait.
Have we decided what our Patreon episode is for that?
I'll never tell.
Oh, Gossip Girl. We're doing all of Gossip.
Oh, good.
No, but I have an idea.
Ooh.
We can talk about it off here.
To end today's episode, I'd like for each of us to say our name and what. Man, I don't even have a good idea for that. I never don't have a way to end these episodes. I have nothing. Right? What did you wish the company was doing? Say your name and what you wish Victory was doing.
The In Simulation Company?
Yeah.
Okay.
For two chunks and a hunk, my name is Jordan, and I wish that instead they were sacrificing people to the god of the mountain that lived underneath, and that all those bombs were charges they had to blow to make more space to go feed him.
It dug too
She
deep.
just keeps humming. The pipes were red.
Far over.
Goofy?
Far over. Far over.
I'm Doge. I thought Project Victory was going to be victory over extinction. We've kidnapped, we've brainwashed women. We wait for them to have this weird mental break thing. We take them to the doctor and they come back and, oh, there's a baby been implanted in them to keep growing humans because somewhere outside of the California desert, it is a wasteland and the human race will not survive without the efforts of Project Victory.
I can get on board with that.
I'm Carter, and Project Victory is, what do they say, putting lipstick on a pig?
Yeah.
Like it is our Frank character was high-ranking in military or government or something in tech and had acknowledged that like, nuclear war is happening regardless. I'm choosing to be a coward and not fight at all and help you and just do something to have an aside to live the rest of my life as if this didn't happen. We wake up in an actual post-apocalyptic world. And they're some of the only survivors. And instead of trying to create a new civilization in the world that is left, they're just going to a different one and we'll just die out there.
Yeah. I like all of these better.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, I need a final yes or no. Did you worry, darling? Yes.
I was pretty
Yes.
worried, yeah.
Oh, man.
We tried though,
Yeah.
and as we do every week, to finish it up real good, Doge, just
Blow
give
it.
us one more of those Harry Styleses
Yeah.
at the door.
I hope this episode has felt like, like a podcast, like a real, like go to the theater kind of like, podcast.
When Big Mobile charges you an arm and a leg, they're taking your money and your power. And your arm and leg. Boost Mobile gives your power back with an unlimited plan for $25 a month on one of America's largest 5G networks. We can't give you back your arm and your leg because we're not qualified surgeons. Unless you're an iguana who can grow limbs back. Switch to Boost and get an unlimited plan for $25 a month. Boost Mobile. Unleash your power. New customers only. One line, $25 per month with autopay. Additional restrictions apply. See boostmobile.com for details.